Today's video is a homeschool update and a recap of everything that has happened over the last couple of months. So if you're new to my channel and you just want to be updated on all the things that we are doing now in our homeschool, stick around. So it's been a while since I last posted a video. My last video I think was in November, which was also a homeschool update of our first term. But then December got super busy, obviously, with Christmas and our co-ops and all these things wrapping up, and Christmas school and activities and get-togethers and Christmas making and baking, and I didn't intend to actually take a break from YouTube, but in the end I really had to, and it was a matter of like family things and homeschool and our, all of our other obligations versus YouTube. And so I had to take an unfortunate break, but I hope that all of you have had a wonderful Christmas holiday and New Year, and I'm happy to be back. I also don't want to just make videos about something just to get something out there. I really want to post things on my channel that are on my mind, that I'm passionate about, that I'm thinking about. And so I won't post videos at that time because I'm not just trying to, I find there's a lot of content already out there. I really want to post videos when I have something to share or something to talk about. But given that nothing much has really changed in our homeschool because it's working. Everything's working, everything is going well. And sometimes that doesn't make an exciting video because there's nothing changing. Like, people want to know, oh, what isn't working and what are you changing to now? And if I've talked about other curriculum in the past, there's no sense in rehashing those reviews or talking about them again if nothing's changing, if everything is just status quo and everything is really the same. But also, that's a good thing. It's a good thing when you can just stay consistently doing the same thing, and day in and day out things are working. Sometimes as homeschool moms, we might get a little bit bored of doing the same thing, and so we feel like we want to look, what else is there out there? What looks more interesting, what could be. But if things are working well for us in our family, I think it's best just to stick with what we're doing and continue the grind and continue the fun days, the not so fun days, but overall everything is trending upward and we're doing well and we're enjoying homeschool. We have now begun term 2. And we are, this week that I'm recording, we're in our 4th week of term 2, and things are going really well. I'm just looking at my notes if you see me look down. I'm going to recap all the curriculum that I am using in our homeschool because I've noticed that I have a lot of new subscribers, and so you might not be fully aware of what we're doing, and there actually probably are some subtle changes, things that I haven't really announced or said, because I'm always kind of making subtle changes with how I'm using curriculum, how much I'm using it, bits and pieces, how I put it together. Because, from day to day, I'll notice one day, we kind of can't just stick with a plan and go with it, if it's not working. And so I've made little subtle changes here and there, and I'll talk about that in this video as well. We did school for most of December. We did Christmas school light. I wouldn't call it just Christmas school, but we did math and language arts. We did history, math and language arts, because our history curriculum is quite long, and so it's 42 lessons, and so it will take longer to finish it. So I didn't want to take a break from history. And our poetry, recitation, Bible, and some Christmas activities and things like that was our school for the month of December. We did take 2 weeks off, 1 week for the week of Christmas and then 1 week for the first week after the new year. And this week that I'm recording now, we are into our first week back of school, and it's really going great. We're at the end of our first week. And I think because we didn't take such a long break at Christmas, my kids were able to just pick up and jump back into the full course load. I didn't gradually add it in. I just said, we're going to be doing a full course load and let's just get through it. And it's been great. It's really, they didn't struggle too much. with trying to jump back into a full day of school. Well, not a full day, but our full day of school. So this is what our school day would look like. I won't necessarily go with the schedule in order, but these are the subjects and things that we are covering currently. And if you go back and watch older videos, you may notice that there are some changes. I won't really necessarily remember all the little subtle changes, but this is what we are currently doing at the beginning of 2025 of January. So we begin every morning with a Bible devotional. Right now, we are following along a 21-day study that my kids are doing through our church. So we're reading the same passages together as a church, and that's what we're reading together every morning. And with a really short sort of discussion, what did you take away from it? And we just kind of keep it short and sweet. But we're right now reading the book of James, which has really been great for discussion for all of us. It really touches on points that we are all learning some lessons from. We are doing poetry and recitation. We're doing the poems that are in the poetry book from the Alveary. I'll put a picture here. And we are also doing our recitation based on our Shakespeare. So we are still in Hamlet, and so we are reciting a passage from Hamlet. Those recitation pieces are also part of the Alveary. So the Alveary's recitation and poetry we have been following, not necessarily what they're prescribing that we do at this point in time in our term. I've just gone through and picked selections that I have preferred to focus on. And specifically, we will stick with one piece of poetry for the month and a recitation for the month. And each month I put in a new one. So we're repeating that same poem and that same recitation for the entire month. And at the end of the month, both of my children, grades 1 and grade 5, have the entire Shakespeare and poem memorized. And I think sticking with it and being able to accomplish that memorization of it and saying it well has really been effective, helping my kids understand that they really can memorize big chunks of things, understanding what the context of those passages mean and what they're saying. And it really, slowing down and just focusing on one has really been great in our homeschool. We've enjoyed that a lot. We also rotate from day to day. So one day we will do an artist study. The artist studies I've been taking from Ambleside Online. So right now we are doing Caravaggio, and the composer study as well. We are using Ambleside Online's composer, and we are doing Vivaldi. So we're listening to the same schedule that they recommend. So we're looking at one particular painting for 2 weeks and one composer's song for 2 weeks, and then we switch to the next song and art painting from that particular artist and composer. And so for this term, for term 2, it's Vivaldi and Caravaggio. We are also rotating, so one day would be artist study, one day would be composer, and then another day would be Latin. Through Song School Monkey, I have Latin flashcards. Now, instead of doing the full curriculum, I found it more fun just to go through the whole big stack of flashcards. So we've been going through, about 10 at a time each week and adding another 10 in. And my kids actually have quite a large Latin vocabulary. And because we're reviewing the cards regularly, they're not forgetting these Latin words, they're sticking. And they'll sometimes even use the Latin words when we're talking. They'll say the Latin words instead of the English word or French word. They'll kind of change Latin, French, and English in and out because they are learning the language and they're having fun with it. And then on the other day that we rotate out is also a Bible study. So we are going through the Bible. We're currently in the book of Genesis, and we are following Memoria Press's, I'll put a picture here, Bible study of going through the Bible with study guide questions and things like that, where we're kind of slowly going through the books of the Bible, beginning with Genesis. We are also, every single day, I have made flashcards of French words that we're adding more and more vocabulary French words, and we review those every single day. So I'll hold up the flashcard, or I'll say a word in English, they have to say it in French. For those of you who are new to my channel, I am in Canada, so we are a bilingual country, and French is our second language. In some areas, it's the primary language, and so French is really important for us to learn. I'm also half French Canadian, and so I did speak French when I was a child. I'm not as fluent as I was, but it's something that it's important for us to focus on, and so we do French daily in our homeschool. For history, we have been using Story of the World, and we are in volume 3, which is early modern times. That's still working really well. Now, volume 3 is intended for an older grade because how the well-trained mind publishes Story of the World and how they intend for you to do them is that you start volume 1 in grade 1, and then 2 in grade 2, and 3 in grade 3. And so it's intended for a grade 3 level and up. You would cycle back through 1, 2, and 3, and 4, volume 4, and then go back to grade 1, volume 1 in grade 5, volume 2 in grade 6, volume 3 in grade 7, and volume 4 in grade 8, and then you do a high school history. So that's what they intend. So volume 3 is not written as like volume 1, I would say, is a little bit more simplified. It's a slightly more basic. The passages are slightly shorter. And volume 3 is just, also because it's early modern history, a lot of people say it's a drier part of history, you know, and the settlers are all coming to North America. It's very different from, you know, ancient civilizations, pyramids, those kinds of things. So I found that my grade 1 student was having a difficult time tracking along and remembering. I didn't expect her to remember all the details, some of the details, even just to be able to say, this is what this was about. Like one line, here's what you talked about today. She wasn't tracking along. So I thought for about a month or so, a couple of weeks, where I was going to try to find her own history. And I thought, well, I don't want to stop Story of the World. Maybe I'll get my older daughter to do it completely independently, because I didn't have time in our schedule to do 2 individual histories with 2 of my students. So I would give it to my older daughter to do completely independently, and then do another history with my younger daughter. I didn't like I loved doing history together. I also love learning and reading it myself. I wouldn't have time to just go and read the book by myself. I wasn't going to do that. It's something I do along with my kids. So I thought, is there something I can do to help my daughter absorb some of the information, understand and process some of the things that are going on? So what I decided to do was to really slow down the reading. Now we still do the same amount of reading, you know, 1 lesson a week. There's 42 lessons, 42 chapters, so 42 lessons over 42 weeks. I wasn't going to slow that down because that already takes a big chunk of our homeschool time. We tend to end up having to go into the summer a little bit to finish it up. What I decided to do was to slow down the reading before I expected her to kind of narrate back. So I would, every paragraph, and sometimes the paragraphs were this big, some of them are a little bit bigger, I would stop and say, okay, tell me back what this was about. And if there were any book. So I also, before I do a lesson, I have a whiteboard and I write down all the words that I think might trip up my kids, anything that might need an explanation. I also write the names of people and places, so they just have a reference. They can go and look and see, okay, and I'll go over them. I'll say, these are the things we're going to talk about in this chapter. Here's this word, this is what it means, and so forth. Then we read the chapter. So I began stopping at every paragraph and say, and I would get my kids to take turns. Okay, 1, you tell me back what that was about. Now you tell me. And miraculously, well, not miraculously, I should have really thought of this sooner rather than reading pages and pages and then say, tell me back what you read. It just makes sense, but I didn't. I was expecting her to be able to listen to the whole chapter and then tell back. And of course, we know in Charlotte Mason, we read shorter passages and get them to tell back a little bit sooner. So it is working wonderfully. She is remembering all the details. She's understanding what's going on. She's processing everything. She's able to narrate back in her journal at the end, kind of, I don't expect her to summarize. My grade 5 student would summarize the entire chapter, and my younger daughter would just write about what stands out to her the most, those kinds of things. What was her favorite part? What stood out to you the most? Those sort of like, 1 or 2 sentences, which she is able to verbally narrate back to me, and then I write it out for her and get her to read it. It's working wonderfully. So with our history, we're also doing a timeline and map work. Now, Story of the World also has a big, thick book full of learning activities, and we have not gotten to those. We would not be able to do it, and they're more fun to do with other people. And so beginning in March, when a friend of mine is coming back from a vacation, we've decided a few small families, we're not really going to be calling it a co-op, but we're just going to be getting together. We're all doing Story of the World Volume 3, and we're going to do the learning activities together once a week. And so I'm really looking forward to that, because that was what made history fun, and that was a fun part of our learning together, and it was fun doing it with other kids. For science, we have been on a long pause. We are doing science with our co-op. Our co-op ended on December 6th, and it doesn't start up again until January 24th, which hasn't happened yet. That's in a couple of weeks. So we are doing it together, and so it wouldn't really make sense for us to move forward and then go back and do it again together as a group. And so we've kind of paused it. We did do a few Christmas schooly, science-y-ish activities, but really we've taken a pause and a break from science. Now, I don't think that's overly detrimental in grade 1 and 5. Science has always been one that we've not always fully completed or done. I definitely will be focusing a lot more on it in middle school and up, where there'll be requirements for credits and things like that. But for now, we are really enjoying, we've been doing Berean Builders, Science in the Beginning, and I can't recommend that more. Now, it is a Christian curriculum, just to put that out there, but it is wonderful. The passages are short and sweet, and the experiments are so easy. Most of the things are things that you can find around the home, but they really hammer home what the science concepts and principles are. And the passages are really clear and concise, and I'm finding that even in our co-op, our kindergarten grade 1 students are taking something from it, as well as our students all the way up to grade 8. We have a grade 8 and even a grade 9 student in our co-op. And it really is a general science. So what it does is it tracks the 7 days of creation, and things within each of those days of creation, it's taking science concepts out of it and teaching them. So it's an overall general science. I mean, there's physics, there's chemistry in it, geology, biology, so many things like that. But I'm missing one here. Anyways, all the things, plants, can't think of the word for the science for plants, botany. And it's covering all those things. So it's really like this general science, but is teaching these concepts really clearly through really cool science experiments that are very feasible, and you don't need to buy a kit. That's a great thing. No expensive kit that needs to be bought along with that. So that has been fun, and we are enjoying it. I'm hearing a lot of great feedback from the co-op. Kids are really enjoying this subject. They actually, some of them, one family said they didn't want to pause over the Christmas break. They really wanted to continue reading it. So I really highly recommend Berean Builders, Science in the Beginning, and I'll just put a picture here for you. So geography. I made a video, I don't know, a while back, about a geography plan that I had come up with. And we had a lot of fun with it. I have this book called The Great Rivers of the World, and we started with one river, and we were following the rivers and gonna stop off at all these major cities and countries along the routes, and just discover places around the world and know more about them, learn more about their culture, and just everything related to these areas. And I was finding literature related to those areas. We did Switzerland, so we read Heidi, and we watched videos, and I pieced together a bunch of things. Now, we enjoyed it, but I kind of hit a bit of a wall when I was having a hard time finding great books. That is when I really appreciate curriculum companies like the Alveary, who really are able to do a lot of digging and have a lot of resources to be able to find all these great living books to go along with the curriculum. Because we weren't really finding the greatest books. But what made me put a little break on this plan, because we were still doing it, was as we were doing this course, I realized that there was a lot of basic geographical terminology and concepts that my kids didn't really know. And so rather than trying to work in those concepts into the course that I was creating, instead I decided to pull back and let's focus on these terminologies and principles and geographical sort of concepts that are important to know to study geography. So another video I made previously about Under the Home, which I think is wonderful. It's a completely free online Charlotte Mason curriculum. You can print out everything, but it's all completely online. You don't fill it in online like an online class. It's just that you read it on a screen or print it. They provide you the literature. You don't need any extra books. Everything is there. They're all stuff that's from the public domain online. So we have been following their geography. What I've been doing is I've been going through all the grades and picking and choosing topics that my kids, I feel, that are foundational terminologies and concepts that my kids need to know in order to then go out and study geography. I mean, really basic, like directions of a compass and temperate zone, like zones and hemispheres and all those kinds of things. Like, those are just things that I think are foundational, and we decided to go back, and so we're following Under the Home for geography. We've taken a slight pause on studying the places surrounding the great rivers of the world. But I also noticed that my kids were lacking in their knowledge of Canada. Now, I know that you Americans really know your country well. Not only do your children memorize all the states, you also memorize all the capitals, you memorize the flags, you know your presidents. I mean, you really, it's important for you to know those things. And it's important for us too, and I had not done that. And I realized my kids did not know. We only have 10 provinces and 2 territories, so we have a much smaller list to memorize than you. So I found a resource on Teachers Pay Teachers where they just have printouts and PowerPoint slides and different teaching tools to go through Canadian geography. And we are just going to, one by one, go through each province, and it's going really well. Actually, let me show you our little notebooking thing for geography. So we keep a separate geography notebook, and we've been notebooking all along. You know, we studied Germany and Switzerland, and they've been notebooking along all along on those things. And so what we've been doing now for Canadian history is, for example, they've been studying, we've been looking at Newfoundland, and so all the facts and things to know about Newfoundland, and of course where it is on the map and all that kind of stuff. And that has been really working out well. The kids like it. The kids are enjoying it. It's something light, but also informative, because I think it is really important for them to obviously know our own country. Math has not changed. We are still using Math-U-See. It's going really, really well. My kids are mastering math through Math-U-See. In fact, they're really going above, both of them above grade level in their knowledge in math. Now, maybe they're just gifted math-wise. My husband and I are both strong in math, so that might be one of it, or part of it. But Matthew C really has been wonderful. My daughter has 4 lessons left in Epsilon. So the grade levels go by different Greek names. So Epsilon, and she'll be moving into what comes after Epsilon. The next one after Epsilon soon. I have to order that this week because she'll be moving into that one soon. My grade 1 student is doing Alpha, which is the first level, and she only has 9 lessons left for Alpha, and then we'll be moving into the next level, grade 2, I guess, Beta. And it's going really well. We are also using IXL. We use IXL daily. I talked about that in another video. If you want more on that, I might plan to make another video about that soon. But I find IXL has been excellent in filling in the holes. If you know anything about Matthew C just sticks with one topic for the whole year, mastery. I mean, they know everything there is to know about each thing. Right now, Epsilon is just fractions, but I mean, my daughter is being able to do quite complex fraction problems that I personally need to look in the answer sheets to find out if she's gotten the answers right or not. IXL helps to fill in the holes. It helps them to do extra practice in math in reviewing other concepts. And it does testing as well, so I'm able to see where they are in math, and that's why I say I know they're above. They're both above in several areas of math. They test in geometry, algebra, number sense, certain things like that. And so they're all doing well, and I can see which areas they need more focus on, which really is helpful. And there's also math games, and so they're enjoying IXL. We're still doing that, and I do IXL daily. We do it Monday to Friday, regardless of what we're doing. Weekends, we always take a break from school. They just have to read. They don't have to do any other schoolwork. But we did IXL all through Christmas as well. Even on our 2-week break, they did IXL. And I have made videos about beauty and truth math, and I absolutely love it. I have no regrets about it. And we would continue adding that in to supplement our math, absolutely. But there's just no time. There's no time to do everything. And so we've had to let that go. But beauty and truth, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Being able to do IXL and Matthew C has allowed my kids to do math independently. And beauty and truth does require the teacher to do the math with the student. And so that just wouldn't work for us at this moment. But I find that Matthew C and IXL really are complementing each other well and are really doing what we need for math at the moment. Okay, language arts, just super quickly here. I don't want to make this is probably a very long video already, but language arts for grade 1. Now this of course is for those who are all new subscribers, and just so that I make sure that I'm not forgetting that I have made changes to language arts as well. My grade 1 student is doing first language lessons level 1, writing with ease level 1, spelling workout A, Canadian handwriting level A, what's this called? Not Ontario. Ordinary Parent's Guide to Teaching Reading Lessons. We are almost done. She's at lesson 100. I want to finish it just because I don't like not finishing things. But she doesn't need it. She's well beyond it. She's been reading chapter books. She's reading very well. But I feel like let's just finish it because it's easy for her, and we'll make sure that there isn't a gap somewhere that I may have missed and assumed she understood. And so we're finishing that up. I forget exactly how many lessons there are, but we're at 100. We're nearly done. And she's reading, as I said, chapter books as part of her reading. We are going to be starting the Boxcar Children soon, and she is fully capable of reading that on her own. And when we read the Bible together as a family, we actually take turns reading a verse, and she is reading that independently with a little help with some of the larger words, but she's able to not just read the words, but comprehending what she's saying as well. The new thing for grade 1 that I've added in is she's wanted more to do for language arts, and she's also wanted more work pages, because I think that work pages, kids, especially when they're young, think they're fun, they enjoy doing them. So this is really just extra. I got her the Critical Thinking Company's Language Smarts Level B, and she's just working through that independently. Sometimes when we're working at the table together and I need a few moments, or I need 10-15 minutes with my older daughter, I'll give her that book and say, okay, you work on this while I work with your older sister. So that is working out well. It's great, it's colorful, she's enjoying it. They're more puzzly type things to solve, like unscrambling words, but anyway, we're just at the beginning of it. I'm sure there'll be more to it than that, but she's enjoying that. For grade 5, I've made changes. Now, I did talk about the changes in a previous video, but just in case there's anything else different, I'll just recap that now. So she's doing first language level 4. She is in grade 5. Briefly, why we're at 4 is because we switched a few years ago to the Good and the Beautiful, and I felt that she was missing a lot of the stuff that first language lessons covered. So we went back to the level that we hadn't done and moved forward from there. So we're behind a year, but she is finding it too easy. We're flying through it, and I will be ordering her in the near future. We're going to move on to Grammar for the Well-Trained Mind, which it could begin in grade 5. Some people start that a bit older, grade 6. 7, but we're going to be ordering that, and she's going to be working on that next, because she is finding first language lessons level 4 too easy for her. But because there's some sentence diagramming in there that she's never encountered before, even though she understands it immediately, we still kind of have to cover those things first. She's in spelling workout level F, Canadian handwriting level E, and we were using writing with skill. I'm not going to go into that now, but instead of that, which I covered in a previous video, if you want to go back, I'll link it below in case you want to find out all the details of that. I'll link that video below. We are doing something called Wonderhouse Creative Guided Research Project, and this particular topic she is almost finishing up right now is the Bermuda Triangle. I did mention that in another video. And she is really having fun with that. We're planning on getting another one after this, which I believe she wanted to get the Loch Ness Monster. And they are just doing, it guides them through a research project and helps them figure out how to piece together the research paper at the end. And that seems to be working out well for us for her writing portion. She does do her own creative writing. The other courses we took, we've decided were just way too much independent work. It was just too much for a grade 5 student at this point, and I might add them in grade 6 or 7, but it was too much for now to suddenly give her all of the hours of time it was taking to accomplish just language arts. And in addition to that, we rotate in once a week one of each of these things: Wordly Wise, Reading Detective, which is from the Critical Thinking Company, and also the Critical Thinking Company's The Basics of Critical Thinking, which is logic, which you begin in grade 5. So we rotate through these workbooks, and they really are a lot about reading comprehension, solving puzzles, thinking, critically thinking, and Wordly Wise, of course, is vocabulary. And yeah, so we will be starting Grammar for the Well-Trained Mind probably, I would say we may pick it up by March, possibly, begin it by then. So I'll let you know when we do start that, when that starts and what that looks like. And Shakespeare, of course, we're still doing Hamlet. The Alveary goes through Hamlet a lot faster, and I was finding the reading too long for both of my kids. And so we've slowed it down. We just do one scene a day. So we've just finished Act 3, Scene 3, and we're going through it slowly, but we are enjoying it. They're both getting stuff out of it. They're both tracking along. In fact, after Christmas, before opening any of the books, I just got them to kind of tell me back who the characters are, what were they about, what are they doing, what's happened so far, and they both understood what's going on. So it's wonderful. We're loving it. I to say that I'm following the Alveary's Shakespeare, we are listening to the Archangel audio, reading along in the book, and then we're just talking and narrating. But I'm following their plan of doing, Hamlet, and then I can't remember what's coming next, but their plan of which plays they've selected. But I'm not following a lesson plan or discussion questions or anything like that they do have set out in their guides. We're just doing it our own way. I just found that easier, and I also find the more that you understand how things work, you can just do it your own way that suits your needs and your children's needs best, and also interests. Plutarch as well, we are following what the Alveary has given to us for grade 5. Now, I don't do this one with my grade 1 student, I just do that with my grade 5 student, but we're studying Publicola, and it's Anne White's Plutarch Primer. We are halfway done. We've been doing it slower as well. There's 12 lessons in total, and we have just finished lesson number 6. I think this will be the only Plutarch we'll do this year, and we'll probably just focus on doing one Plutarch a year. And go through it very, very slowly. But I have really enjoyed Anne White's guide. It gives a lot of discussion questions and ideas, and even ideas of what they can do differently, like fun ideas to do in their journal, rather than just narrate back what it was about. Things like write a newspaper article, what would Publicola's diary look like, draw a political cartoon, a graphic strip of something, and things like that. So there's some really fun ideas that she puts in there, and we are really enjoying it. Her guide is making reading Plutarch far easier than I was expecting it to be. My grade 5 student and I were piecing together Plutarch and understanding it fairly well. And it's going well. It's going well. We're not pulling out our hair and crying. We're getting through it, liking it, enjoying it, and that's good. For French, in addition to the flashcards that I make, we are also following a French curriculum called Mission Monde, and we are using a grade 4 level for my older daughter, and the one for my younger daughter is a K to 3. So it's just all K to 3, and then she'll move, once she's finished that level, she can go into level 1, which would be intended for grade 4. And that's going well. Really not much to say about it. It's a Canadian Christian French curriculum that was created for Christian schools. They also have a package that's cheaper for homeschoolers, and it works. There aren't many French curriculum out there designed for homeschoolers, I find, but this one is really covering all the things that I expect it to. It really covers a lot of the things that I learned when I was in school in French, so I feel that it's really doing its job. And in comparison with some other French curriculum that other people I know are using, which seem way too basic, where it's just like, these are the colors, these are the numbers, it goes a bit more into conjugating verbs and things like that that will help them learn how to read and write in French. Co-ops, we are still doing twice a week, and I don't have a lot to say. We're on pause right now, but they're going well, or they were going well. We're on a break. It's nice to have a break, but we're also looking forward to getting back together with our friends. And we're enjoying co-ops. Twice a week, at first I worried that it would be too much, but really, once you get into the rhythm of things, I've found I've had no problems with being able to do even more than 2 things a week. Has really been going well for us, and we're enjoying it. Now to just talk about the Alveary. I have a lot of videos out there where I have been recommending the Alveary, and I also am a member of the Alveary currently, but I wanted to let you know that I don't plan on continuing with the Alveary next year. The membership does go for sale coming up soon, within this month or next month, I believe. I'm not sure, but it is coming up soon for the following term. I have my membership will be good up until the end of this summer. But the reason why I am not continuing with it, I think it is absolutely fabulous, but it's that I don't feel that I need it anymore. I've gotten to know the Charlotte Mason method and process and how to apply it individually, like uniquely to our homeschool and how I want to use it. And so I found myself not following the guides anymore. I found myself doing things our own way. Now, the Alveary has some really wonderful ideas, some very creative ideas. For someone who is more new to Charlotte Mason and doesn't know how to do it, I think the Alveary is the best place to start compared to all the other curriculum because everything is done for you. They literally write out the script of everything that you as a mother teacher have to do with your student, what to say, what to do, what to expect. It's all there, all the activities, everything is there. It's all pre-planned for you. It is idiot-proof. But what I found was when I would look at certain topics and things, like for example, science or history, there were other things, other books that my kids would be more interested in. For science, maybe my kids aren't going to want to study bees, or maybe my kids would rather study astronomy and that's not part of it. Certain things like that. In history, maybe we wouldn't want to focus so much in on this one person. We'd want to study, a broader. So being able to understand Charlotte Mason's method and apply it to our own way, our own homeschool, our own curriculum even, like use the curriculum we have and make it more Charlotte Mason is more effective for us. And so that is what I plan to do in the future. I found I was using a lot of Charlotte Mason or the Alveary last year. I had a big plan to do totally 100% Alveary in the summer for this past fall. And then I found myself slowly pulling back and pulling back and pulling back. Whereas this year, I'm technically using the Alveary for Shakespeare and Plutarch. And I was using it for Canadian history, but all of that has changed. I loved their literature picks for Canadian history, and I am using those. Samuel Champlain, certain things that I wouldn't have known as a resource. So, if I would have been able to access their book lists in the future, if you could just pay for that, that would be something I absolutely would love to do. But do I need their guides at this point in my homeschooling journey? I don't feel I do. It does take the workout. So whether you feel like you're an expert, and I don't feel like I'm an expert, but whether you feel like you're comfortable in doing things on your own or not, they do all the work for you. So there is that where I am happy to do the work myself. Now, if I come to a point where I don't have time to do that research and work, and I don't enjoy it, right now I currently love doing that, that's really a passion to me right now, then I would definitely look into investing into the Alveary or something that does plot all that out for you, plan it all out for you, tell you exactly what to do. It really takes the burden off, especially as your students get older, because they're working independently. You're just like, here you go, and you know exactly what to expect and track along and know exactly what they're supposed to be doing. And it's great. But for me, for this coming year, I will not be renewing my membership, but I absolutely recommend it. I think they are amazing. Their book selections are amazing, and they do a wonderful job in connecting all the topics, all the subjects, and making them relate to one another and just give you such a beautiful picture of beauty and art and knowledge and everything. They do an amazing job. Extracurriculars, which is really part of homeschool. We are doing swimming lessons. Both of my kids are finally swimming. But we're going to continue in that. So we're doing it all year long, winter, spring, summer, fall, swimming lessons. My older daughter is doing theater. She did theater last fall, and she's re-enrolling again this winter, where they will actually do a performance on stage. They write their own plays, they write the scripts and perform it, and she's having a lot of fun with that. Theater is not an area where she plans to pursue, but what I loved is that it brought her out of her shell, it helped her make new friends, and it's teaching her even just public speaking and presenting in front of people. I feel like that was the skill that I was really hoping she'd gain out of it and build confidence, and that is what we are getting from her theater group. And skating. We are skating once a week. Every week we're meeting a small group of friends and we are skating. My kids never skated before, believe it or not, here in Canada, but they're both skating and doing well and loving it. And so we're doing that every week as an extracurricular activity. I also wanted to share a few personal things that I am doing as a mother teacher, as a mother. I have started a reading challenge. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Scholé Sisters podcast, but they do a challenge called the 5 by 5. And what that means is you choose 5 categories of books, and within those 5 categories, you read 5 books. So the challenge is to try to read at least 25 books in the year. I should be able to read more than that, but I've decided to do that challenge because I really want to broaden the areas that I'm reading in. Rather than just always gravitating to one area, but to broaden that and broaden my knowledge and just areas of reading and literature. So the 5 categories I've chosen are, and I don't have all my books selected yet. Now, if this is a video that you would like to hear more on in the future, comment below. I'd be happy to share more details on this. But I'm going to be, the 5 categories are Pulitzer Prize winners, historical and biographical books, parenting and education, homeschooling type books, theology and Christian apologetics, and 19th century novelists. It's been a while since I've read. I just got one of those under my belt. I just finished reading Emma by Jane Austen, and it's been a while since I've read some of those 19th century novelists, which are like on everybody's to-read list, but it's been a while. So I've added that to my list as well. Now, the fun thing that I saw online and I want to add to my reading challenge is for every book that I read, I've recently gotten into crocheting, and with every book that I read, I'm going to be crocheting a granny square that sort of matches the book cover. And so this one is for, I read a book by Percival Everett called James, and this was for Emma by Jane Austen, and I'll show you a little picture of what the book, how it looks with the book covers. And this one is The Last Battle from the Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis. So any books that I also read aloud to my kids, I'll be including. And then after I'm done all the granny squares, I'm going to be crocheting them together to be making a book reading blanket. I don't know what else to call it, but a crochet book reading blanket to represent all the books that I've read. I thought it would be a fun, memorable way of keeping track of books that I've read, especially ones that are loved and favorites. And so that is what I am up to on a side personal note. That's all I have for you. I thank you so much for sticking around to the end. I really hope that you have a great 2025. And I'm looking forward to more upcoming videos and sharing about our homeschool with you. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Okay.